Alright, so I had a new customer send me an amp, a new client I should say, from Missouri. So I'm doing a little unboxing video. This is apparently a Sovtek. The client in question uses it to play bass. He plays in a extreme kind of metal band, and he's not getting enough of what he wants out of it. So we're gonna take an old Sovtek, rebuild it, and mutate the fuck out of it, I think. And I just wanted to get the unboxing video. We're gonna save that for later. I ship this thing back to him. Oh, looks like there's been some damage. So let's review real quick what the hell happened. I'm going to make some assumptions that happened in transit. I also can hear the whole thing rattling around in there, so we're going to find out just how fucked up this amp got. Transformer at a pretty ugly angle. Hopefully no wires were injured. Pulled out. Serial number there. So, we're going to find out, kids. Let's, oh hell, I don't know. Make a little bit of room here. Put this guy back up there. And let's undo some shit. See what happens. I hope there's not glass banging around in there. Exciting, noisy part. Yeah, I got a bent grill, back grill. I'm going to get a little parts container for screws, nuts, and bolts so they don't get mixed in with other stuff and or lost. Woof. Well, we're going to find out. Yeah, I got screws pulled and bent and damaged. Let's see here if this will even come out. Yay! Sorry if I'm blocking the camera. So there might be some... Woof, that fucker's bent. There might even be some scary stuff I gotta do to get this chassis out. So this is one of the things that, I mean, it's flattering as all get out. The guys send me their amps to work on from out of state and whatnot. It makes me sad that there's, I guess, nobody good in their area. Because I mean, in the nerd forums I belong to, there are people from all over this great country that, yeah, listen to that, kids. That's the sound of a fucked up screw. There are guys all over this country that I know that build amps and whatnot. I always feel like, why ship it when you can just drive it across town, or even if you got to go an hour or two, you know? But hey, again, it's flattering. I'll take it. What the hell? I almost think I got this thing. I know the big exciting part of this, isn't it, guys? All right. Wow. Well, there we go. Fire stress is over. Let's get this booger out. God, I can just hear glass crunching. Because of that bent transformer, it's going to be a little bit of an ordeal to get this guy out. Alright, well, we're going to be safe. Oofta. I'm going to pull the tubes out. Jesus, they look like original tubes. Oh boy. might be some scorching and burning on the tube sockets, which could explain why the guy's not getting the kind of tone he wants. After all these glorified little light bulbs, that popped right out. That popped right out. Oh boy. Yeah, these are, I think I got 2 original Sovteks in here. 7025s, and then I got 1 Electro Harmonics in there. So, oh boy. Alright, well. Let's see if I can manhandle that fucker down a little bit. Alright, well, I also got some. Oh, it's a voltage splitter, so we're going to do away with that. Alright, folks, well, I'm going to turn this off because it's about to get ugly to get that guy out of there. So, anyhow, we'll come back. We're back. After a blowtorch, sledgehammer, and a pile driver, I was able to break the amp free from its head shell. Of course, now I'm going to have to get some super glue and wood nails to cobble it all back together. I'm just kidding. All I had to do was remove 1 cleat that was screwed in, not glued, and had a little tack nail. So the head shell's fine. But if you can see down in there is a bunch of broken and shattered glass from that lamp. Every amplifier tech's nemesis, the horrific and terrible IC Illinois caps. So this has been worked on in the past. These terrible garbage capacitors are going to come out. The old, and I've discharged and checked for voltages across everything and done just some very basic continuity tests, making sure that I understand how the power section's wired up, how everything is kind of put together here. Once you get over the basic learning curve and learning humps on these tube amps, you can kind of tell what everything does in here. So these are radial capacitors, part of, I think, a hum reduction or elevated heater supply, and part of the bias supply for the power section, filter cap sections, everything right here. A lot of the Russian components are, they look really cool, and I think they're all in great shape. Down over here you can see this guy. That resistor is burned up from the inside out, which whenever the tech work was done to this thing originally, the tech didn't opt to replace these capacitors, which it should have been done all at once, but there might have been, constraints, money or time, or components couldn't be found, and, stuff's kind of working, I guess. But as soon as I talk to the customer, we'll figure out everything that he's going to want to do, if he's going to want to do, blah, blah, blah. So that's something that's definitely going to need to be replaced before I even bother to power this thing up. So, interesting value choices on certain things. 75K or 750K on the screens, on the power tube screens. Interesting layout of stuff that they got going on the secondary stage, the V2 here. Little spider action going on. And while I was doing basic continuity tests on stuff, which some people frown upon doing continuity tests because it doesn't give you all the actual resistance information. So you see I've got a ground point here. I've got ground with the chassis. One thing I like to do is make sure that I've got, ground across the heaters and the actual power tube ground. So going down the line here of little Mr. Amplifier, the tube sockets, I have heater ground continuity, which you're supposed to have, with all of my heater points in the amp And then when I get down to V1, I get nothing. I get no continuity. So right there is going to be a big part of I'm not getting the sound that I want. I don't like the sound, blah, blah, blah. Half of your first stage is not running, and that means the rest of the amp's signal is crippled going down the line. There must be getting something through. Either that or it was damaged in shipment. So these tube sockets I don't like. I think they're very cheap and crummy, and I'm going to talk to my guy about upgrading some stuff. Also, there's a couple things I don't like this tube socket. I'm just going to use this as a slight probe, but I don't like how that's moving around. So there's just some general, I think, basic maintenance that's going to need to happen to this booger. But there you go. So she's out and in the open. Welcome to Custom Audio Mutation. I was just reminded by Facebook that haven't posted anything in a few days, so I figured I'd start Tuesday off in a fairly decent fashion. Here is that Sovtek, Sovtek from the Sovtek saga, and I've started the restoration yesterday, having gotten most of the parts in stock. So I just figured I would do a little fun semi-cleaning video. I don't know if you guys can see all the dust coming off of this thing. Is that an HD for everybody? So, like I said, I started the restoration. I have most of the preamp section repaired, and now I'm going to move on to the power section. But I want to start getting some of the cleanup happening on this thing. And to do that, we're going to remove these horrible, dumb little springy things that I hate. I don't know. I guess somebody thinks they keep the tubes in the sockets. But if your tube sockets are that shitty, maybe you should just get better tube sockets. So this is a multi-handed adventure here. There we go. Got all those little boogers out of the way. Now I'm just taking a paintbrush and I'm peeling off the schmutz off of this goofy thing. Now I'll flip it over and kind of show you guys what I've done so far. But before I do any other heavy cleaning, I'm going to come in with some denatured alcohol and see about maybe getting that stain off of there. See if that's corrosion on the chassis or what. But anyhow, this is my lame Bob Ross impression. I'm going to make a happy little amplifier. Maybe our output transformer lives right here. We'll just go ahead and brush that in. And then when we get to the choke, get that little happy inductor right there. And then as we work our way across the chassis canvas, we get into our power transformer. That's right. Happy little power transformer, which, as we all know, takes our AC, or alternating current, and transforms it into other voltages for us. And then through the magic of electricity, we're able to make direct current, and that in turn becomes tone. So that's the first part of this. I know I'm being a goof. I'm going to flip the amp over to show everybody kind of what I've done already. So last night I lifted this card out, the circuit card, and removed the old IC caps and a bunch of old cap cans and bias caps, and there was also a burned up resistor. So I replaced these two capacitors here with brand new audio grade Nichicons. Here's some excellent Nichicon bias resistors. I increased this resistor, which was burned up. It was a little, you see, like this fat guy right here is a resistor. That's a 2-watt resistor. There's a lot of voltage and current that hits that resistor, so I upped that to a 5-watt Vichy greenback, as I affectionately call it. And then I put in, I replaced the crappy IC caps, which were not stock to this amp, I'm pretty sure, and put in these 3 overrated 450 volt 100 microfarad F&T caps. Also checked all the traces and everything and went through. So that was yesterday. I had to pull all the pots out, lift the whole card over, remove parts, get shitty solder out of the way, all that kind of stuff. Also, each of these sockets has me nervous and worried, since they're just these crummy little ceramic sockets. And the customer complained of the amp sounding incredibly weak. And just doing some continuity tests and some resistance tests, I found that this half of the tube socket isn't connected, even though this wire is connected. I'm not getting any continuity. No heater voltage is going to be going to that for whatever reason. So I'm paranoid about these sockets. So I'm going to pull these sockets out and replace them as part of the restoration. And I'm probably also going to do up this wiring here and fix that. So they've got an interesting way of laying out heater wiring, which I'm not a fan of. But, you know, I'm going to try to keep it as original as possible insofar as the wiring, because to go through and rewire this would add a huge amount of money, and I don't believe the amp really needs that. So the next step, like I said, is going to be smashing these capacitors out of the amplifier and loading in the new F&Ts right here. And also we're going to pull out this plastic lamp indicator guy, and we're going to replace him with a whole new assembly, a metal case assembly instead of this plastic case. And then the customer requested a blue jewel, so we'll do that up. When that's done, I'm going to go through and check, you know, all the connections and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, just see how things are looking. I'll put it on my limiter and variac and fire it up and make sure that everything is looking and feeling good as far as voltages. I'll bias the amp up with the new tubes. It is a 100-watt amp off 5881s. And at that point, really, in all reality, we should be ready to go. And then maybe talk about some mods. The guy is a bass player, which is interesting. And he is going to want, he said he wants this thing to have some rage-tastic distortion. So we're going to maybe do some fun Lemmy type stuff with it. But that's pretty much it. So I just wanted to do a live video real quick. Okay. Welcome back to Custom Audio Mutation. Down here in the shop, I've got the MiG 100. I'm ready for first power up. No tubes installed. All components that need to replace electrolytic capacitors, any burned up resistors, power filter caps, the V1 tube socket. Things are rewired. Things are a little messy in here right now. There's you know, wires kind of flying around. But we are plugged into my variac and my voltage limiter. We have the new blue light in there. No tubes in the amp. This is my first. I've also got a load box plugged in. Now, apparently you don't need a load box if you don't have tubes in it. I don't care. It's just a habit that I like to have of everything being plugged in properly. So all my volume controls are down. So this is the initial first power up that we're going to do, and let's see what happens. Hey, I got light. Let's check that again on my limiter. Alright, no bulb, no shorts. So let's do light, and we're going to do standby. And no bulb? Alright. That's it. So far, everything is 1,000,000,000% correct. I'm going to now double check a couple things and turn this off. I'm going to drain caps, all that good stuff, and reseat some wires out of the way, and then I'm going to get the bias set super cold, make sure that I get full swing across everything as far as voltage, bias up, bias down, tube it, power it up, put some signal through it, see what the hell happens. Good first step, no smoke. Okay, hey, here we are live. So, if everybody kind of remembers from a few weeks ago, the MiG-100H that came in from Missouri, that was actually kind of fucked up in shipping, got hurt, a little bent transformer and whatnot, and needed a kind of a restoration on the internals. So rebuilt it and everything. I put up a video of what that amp sounded like stock, and the owner wanted it to be a little more crazy. So I told him some things I could do to make it kind of a fire-breathing fiend. So anyway, this is the mutated version. I do have a tube screamer, which is turned off right now, but because I didn't want to make it a one-trick pony, I wanted to make it a multi-trick pony. So I'm going to start with the gain at 5 and all the controls at high noon. I've been playing it for a little while, having a lot of fun with it. So nice big rock sound right there. Love it. Big rock sound. Running through a custom audio Mutation 112 cabinet loaded with an Italian-made Jensen Raptor 100-watt speaker. So 100 watts of doom right here, 100 watts of survival in the corner. And just a good kind of rock tone, like big and round, warm, not harsh. Now bear in mind that at 5, this amp before didn't do that. So that's a nice step forward. I'm going to turn the gain to 10. You hear the noise port get a little crazier, but here's with the gain all the way up. Very big, fat, round rock tone. So I'm going to put the gain back at 5 and kick in the tube screamer for a goof. So the tube screamer, the drive is off, tone is knocked back to about 10 o'clock, maybe 11 o'clock, and the level is all the way on 10. So I'm not really distorting, I'm just kind of boosting with it. Classic tube screamer vibe. With the tube screamer going, it's very much like a Jason 800 with the tube screamer, big, heavy rock tone. You can do a lot of fun shit with that. And then as you turn the gain up, of course, it'll get crazier and crazier. It's a little hard to hear when I turn off the tube screamer. Obviously the gain drops, but also the low end gets that big warm round rock kind of. Backing off the volume control on the guitar, you can clean up, go to a neck pickup. So I got to put it back in the amp box and ship it out this week to my guy.